Hi, welcome to Sailor's News. The date is March 10th, 1964, and today we're going to be calling Nannie Doss live from prison. It's ringing.
Hi, this is Nannie Doss.
So Nannie, what was your childhood like?
My childhood was hard. I didn't get to go to school. I had to spend long days on the farm with my big family. My father was very cruel, and my favorite pastime was to read romance magazines and dream about my future lovers.
Talk about the brain damage you received from your accident.
When I was about 7, me and my family were on a train ride together, and the train suddenly came to a stop, and I hit my head on a metal pole, and for several years after, I suffered depression, random fainting, but I was never diagnosed because we couldn't afford to go to a doctor.
How many children did you have?
I had 4 daughters with my first husband, Charlie Braggs. Our oldest daughter moved away with him for a little bit, but then she later invited me back into her life, and I actually killed her 2 children, my grandsons.
What was your relationship with your parents like?
Like I said, my relationship with my parents wasn't the best. My father was abusive mentally and verbally. He never let me and my sisters go out to dances or social events. I was never allowed to wear makeup or flattering clothing, but me and my mother got along well, and we both disliked her husband, my father, and she let me read her magazines, which made me happy.
What was your status in life?
I'd say in life my status was lonely and outcast. I never really was included in any clubs or had many friends besides my family, which I didn't really have good relationships with. I met all of my husbands through dating websites or one of my husbands through my father.
What was your adult life like?
My adult life was rather boring, and I spent most time plotting murder and finding new lovers.
How many husbands did you have?
I had 5 husbands and 4 children.
Go. So Nannie, what was your relationship like with your first husband?
Well, my first husband's name was Charlie Braggs, and I had met him when I was 16 while we were both working at the linen thread factory. My father approved of us, so we wed 4 months after we met. We had 4 children together, and his mother lived with us.
What was the relationship with your mother-in-laws like?
Charlie Bragg's mother was a pain in my butt. She was manipulative and made me do things I didn't want to. I had hoped after I got married that I could get away from the controlling environment that I lived in with my father and my family.
What was your relationship with your second husband like?
My second husband's name was Robert Harrelson. He swept me off my feet with nice presents and love poems, and I married him before I discovered he was an alcoholic and had a record for assault. And during one of his drunken nights, he took advantage of me, and it made me so angry that I put rat poison in his whiskey and I watched him die slowly. Although our marriage was rough, it was my longest and it lasted 16 years.
Oh my god, that's gonna be a good blooper. What was the relationship with your third husband like?
My third husband's name was Arlie Lannon. He was also an alcoholic, just as my last husband. He was popular with the ladies, and I married him 3 days after meeting him. I often wasn't around during this marriage, but when I was home, I was the perfect housewife. He died of heart failure, which is why I wasn't suspicious of his murder. And when he did die, I had to burn down the farm so that his sister wouldn't get the insurance money, but I would.
What was your relationship with your fourth husband like?
My 4th husband was also very popular with the ladies, but not an alcoholic, unlike my last 2 husbands. I had been planning his death for a while when my mother came to visit me. She ended up living with us, and I had to kill her first before I could kill him.
What was your relationship with your 5th husband like?
My final marriage to Nannie Doss was moral, unlike my last two marriages. He wasn't an alcoholic and he wasn't really popular with the ladies. But he didn't live up to the romantic novel dreams that I had read when I was a child. He had gone to the hospital with a stomach ache and was diagnosed with severe digestive tract infection. When he went home that night, I had to rush to kill him so I could collect the 2 life insurance policies that I had on behalf of him. This alerted his doctor, and that is why I was convicted of murder.
How did you kill?
I killed my victims with rat poison. I'd usually mix in with their food or drink, and I even killed my infant grandchild by sticking a hat pin in his head.
What motivated you to kill?
I was motivated to kill by the insurance claims that I'd taken out on my loved ones. I just was greedy, and I had spite and anger in my heart for my relationships, and my life was just not fulfilled.
And how many people did you kill?
I killed 8 to 11 people, depending on who you ask. I killed my 2 grandsons. I killed my sister Dovey. I killed all but one of my husbands. I killed my mom and my mother-in-law.
What was your initial reaction when you were caught?
When I was caught, I just laughed because I had no love in my heart for any of those people, and I was just in it for the money.
Why did you kill?
I told you I just killed for the money. I took out insurance claims for high amounts of money on all of these people, and I just did it so I could earn more money and move on to the next people, hoping to find love.
Okay, Sarah. Did people suspect you of murder?
No. Surprisingly, no one expected me of murder. Except for my first husband. He did. He took away our oldest child after he found out that the middle 2 children had died, as well as his mother. He was afraid of me. And the doctor of my last husband. He knew I was suspicious.
What was your sentence after you admitted to murder? I just realized we're smiling.
When I was convicted of murder, I went to court with my court-appointed attorney, Gordon Patton. For the case, George Elmer Adams was assigned. I was able to handle the case mentally, and I did it calmly. I confessed that I was guilty for the death of my 4 husbands, and I admitted to killing them all with rat poison in their food and drinks. But I was directly charged with the murder of Nannie Doss, my 5th husband, and I was sentenced to life in prison. The judge said he would have given me death penalty, but he said it would be poor precedent to make the first woman sentenced to death in Oklahoma. I went to jail and served my life, and I was laughing the whole way because I was unremorseful for my wrongdoings.
How are you doing now? I heard you have an illness.
I was actually diagnosed with leukemia a few months back, and these are some of my last days to be alive, and I'm glad you called now so I could do this interview and tell my real story. Here's a few pictures of myself. This picture was taken after I went to court. This is me leaving the court attorney's office. I was laughing. Clearly, this was all a joke. This is me and my eldest daughter. I killed her 2 children and my grandchildren. Whoops. This is my mugshot. This is my mugshot. My birth name is actually Hazel, and that's me when I was young. And this is the last photo. It was taken during my kind of middle ages of life. Thank you so much for letting me get interviewed today. It was really a lot of fun.
Breaking news! Nannie Doss, the serial killer, died last night due to leukemia. Okay, thanks for watching. That was it for tonight's Sailor News. Signing off!
What am I supposed to say?